Today we'll be comparing Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain on the PlayStation 4 and the Potato Masher. The Potato Masher is the brainchild of the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast. It's a $350 PC custom built in December of 2014 and designed to compete against the PS4 for the remainder of its life cycle. The goal is not to steer people away from consoles, but to show that PC gaming can be a competitive alternative to a modern gaming console for the same money. On screen right now are links to the Casual Shenanigans YouTube channel and an FAQ video for the Potato Masher if you want to learn more. There's also a link in the description of this video to the original build and testing video. There's also a link to a high quality download for this video if you want a pixel peep. Lastly, this video was recorded and uploaded at 60 FPS, so make sure you're using a compatible browser if you want to see the best version. Alright, that's enough housekeeping. Let's see how the Phantom Pain runs on the Potato Masher. It's worth noting that while the Potato Masher exceeds the minimum video card requirement and matches the RAM requirement for the game, its processor is 3 generations older than the minimum processor the game claims to need. Here at Casual Shenanigans, we think minimum system requirements are a little outdated. The Potato Masher didn't meet the requirements for The Witcher 3, and it ran extremely well. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain is no exception. The Phantom Pain is one of the rare PS4 games that natively runs at 1080p and 60 FPS. You'd expect the game's visuals to suffer to hit that target, but overall the game looks great on every system. You can tell that a lot of loving care went into crafting beautiful visuals that could also run on slower systems. Character models, textures, and shaders are all excellent. While there are a few issues with both the PC and PS4 versions of the game, the Potato Masher definitely looks better. Matching the PS4's 1080p and 60 FPS was not hard, and the Potato Masher even did it at high settings. If you want to see the exact settings I used, they are linked in the video description. The PS4's shadows are probably its biggest issue. There is jaggy aliasing visible in almost every shadow. This is especially noticeable during cutscenes, but you will still see it in normal gameplay as well. Even if it doesn't bother you, the flickering and stuttering motion of aliased shadows can be distracting, especially during nighttime stealth missions. I didn't think much of it until I tried the Phantom Pain on the Potato Masher, where the difference was almost immediately obvious. Another gameplay affecting graphical advantage on the Potato Masher is the lighting. On most of the games we test, the PS4's lighting is slightly worse than the Potato Masher, and it rarely makes a difference to the gameplay. However, in a game where you infiltrate plenty of enemy camps at night, accurate lighting can be very helpful. The Potato Masher has deeper shadows, brighter hotspots, and even more lens flares if that's your thing. There's also more light sources on the screen at any given time. The PS4's lighting looks flat and boring by comparison. The third main graphical advantage the Potato Masher has over the PS4 is texture filtering. Also called anti-stropic filtering, this controls how sharp and detailed textures appear at distances. While both the PS4 and PC versions of the Phantom Pain have a fair amount of pop-in, which is unfortunately common in open-world games, the texture filtering on the Potato Masher is much better than the PS4. The PS4's textures look muddy and blurry by comparison. Both versions of the game have notable aliasing, even when the Potato Masher is on very high settings. The anti-aliasing is not a standalone option, and it appears to be tied into the post-processing effect, and is very hard to turn up all the way if you want to maintain 60 FPS. The PC aliasing looks a tiny bit better than the PS4, but both versions could be better. The PC also has slightly nicer depth of field and reflection effects, but these are most noticeable in cutscenes. Combined with the Potato Masher's greater draw distance, the PS4 looks worse the more you look at it. It's by no means a bad-looking version of the game. If you saw just a few short gameplay clips, you probably wouldn't really spot most of the differences I've been talking about, at least for a few minutes. Again, both platforms look great, but the PS4 can't compete with even a moderately powerful PC like the Potato Masher. By now, you'd probably be disappointed if the Potato Masher couldn't play every game I test at 1080p. While consoles might sometimes lower their resolutions to maintain playable frame rates, the Potato Masher starts at 1080p and only goes up. At 1440p and high settings, the Potato Masher couldn't quite hit 60 FPS. It worked fine at 30 FPS, but by lowering only a few settings, 60 FPS was easy. I'm calling it medium because it's technically lower than high, but as you can see in the settings screenshots linked in the video description, most of the settings are still on high. 4K was a little tougher. Even on very low, I couldn't hit above 40 FPS. Once I locked the frame rate at 30, I could run it at medium without any issues. That's still impressive. Here, to scale, is the PS4 running the game at 1080p, and here is the Potato Masher running the game at 4K. For good measure, here is the Potato Masher running at 1440p, also to scale. Now in regards to the frame rate, I know what you're thinking. The PS4 runs it at 60. Why would you want to play at 30 FPS even if it's at 4K? And I get that. I'm playing the game at 4K on my personal rig, and I lowered the settings until I could hit 60 FPS. I love 60 FPS. I know it's unrealistic that most people who are building a $350 gaming computer will also want a 4K monitor, but if that's you, you can play the Phantom Pain. 30 FPS is much worse than 60 FPS for shooters, racing, and sports games, but it does matter a little less for a slower moving stealth game. The Potato Masher is on the left, running at 4K and 30 FPS. The PS4 is on the right, running at 1080p and 60 FPS. The Potato Masher is running at 4 times the resolution, so it has finer detail, but it runs at half the frame rate. You can see that faster action definitely looks better on the PS4, and the game looks a little better at 4K on the PC. Keep in mind that unless you are viewing the original footage on a 4K native monitor, a lot of the advantages of 4K will be harder to see, especially in a YouTube video. It's up to you to choose which setup you'd rather have, but with the PC you have options, and 1440p really is just great. The Potato Masher isn't perfect, of course. I already mentioned some pop-in issues, but there are a few more things I didn't like. The frame rate is locked at a maximum of 60 FPS. The game assumes you have a controller plugged in, so even if you're only using a mouse and keyboard, it still gives you controller prompts during the beginning tutorial missions. The menu is unintuitive to navigate with a keyboard, and there is a 1 or 2 frame stutter when the game saves. Overall, these are fairly minor issues, and are the type of things that sometimes get fixed in a patch or two, but they do slightly tarnish an otherwise stellar experience. Overall, this comparison shouldn't be much of a surprise. Both platforms are great, but the Potato Masher is a little better looking and has frame rate and resolution options. The better shadows and lighting on the PC do enhance the gameplay, in my opinion, but that is somewhat subjective, so I'll let you make up your own mind. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment letting me know what game you'd like to see me test next. Make sure to check out the description of this video for links to the FAQ video, the graphic settings I used, the original build video, and casual shenanigans. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.